ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। मज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशालक्य चक्षुरोन्मीलितानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा माह्यं ददाति स्वपादान्तिकं। हे कृष्ण करुण सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतारुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासवादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome to all of you, those who are present here. You are continuing, you are with us in the journey, and I'm sure yesterday you would have had all this vision of all his opulences and Krishna's Virat Rupam, Virat Swarupam. Although sometimes it sounds and it looks scary, but it is the truth and it's the reality. That's what we saw yesterday, and today continuing. See, first 6 chapters. First we saw like karma, bhakti, jnana, everything together we went on like Vishada Yoga. From that onwards, after that you went on seeing that Krishna is trying to be a very good teacher, unconditional positive regard. Unconditionally he has been like explaining to Arjuna, answering all his questions, and why Krishna, why Arjuna was chosen, not the others in the even the Pandavas. Arjuna had been unconditional devotee also, so there is no condition, and then Sakha is the best, and then the cousin is not cousin and all, is like a sankalpa matra. So all that put together, Arjuna never envied. That is the main reason. So there is no envious. Like, he has started, oh my God, he is Paramatma. And I used to call you whatever the way I want, and the way I used to be like, sitting with you, eating, being in your, along with you in the, sleeping, all that. So now he's feeling bad after seeing the universal form, and he's total, into that devotion. So this devotion is what we carry on in this. From 7th chapter onwards, we started seeing, slowly and gradually this bhakti is, the way the chapters are developed, that itself is a great indication for us that bhakti is not overnight situation. It doesn't happen overnight. So let me share, and before we move on, let's show all our respects and obedience to Radha Govinda and the deities. Today is Kartik Purnima. It's a very, very special day, and I think there's a lot of functions and celebrations, or all that going on in the Radha Govinda temple in Mangalore ISKCON. So we also show the obedience, and will not be, but from visually, imaginary, we will be participating in the Arati also. It's like we start imagining, and that imagination can happen only by practice. Okay, so in the 11th chapter, when yes,
we cannot see your screen.
Oh, I didn't share. Thank you for letting me know. At least I don't know how I didn't share it. Wait, let me share.
Yes, ma'am. Now it's visible.
Now you are able to see. Okay. Okay. So our respects and regards, all our gratitude to Mangalore ISKCON. And I was just sharing with you, when we start, when I say that sit in any place and start visualizing, imagining Aarti is going on, Sankirtan is going on, I'm listening, I'm seeing, so that is, our mind has so much of power. And it is like in few seconds, it's 9,000 kilometers you can travel. So that powerful our mind is. And that Chanchala Buddhi, if you remember, Arjuna said, it is, you cannot control. That is why that dhyana yoga in the 6th chapter, when we say that till samadhi, that mind cannot be controlled. That is the reason why that process is difficult. Okay. So, but that process leads you to remove all your sins. And our regards and respects to Mangaluru ISKCON temple, also Namnishta Das Prabhu, who, by whom like we have got this opportunity of traveling together. And this 18 days is not sufficient. It is just a glimpse so that you all get into the nectar, you understand, you get into this journey of making, to make you all understand much deeper. That is the reason why we are just showing. Okay. So you're tasting it with a finger, and now we can get into this. So yesterday we saw Arjuna is requesting Krishna to show his universal form. Okay, Drishtam Ichchami Te Rupam. Lord Krishna describes his universal form. So Bahuni Adrishta Purvani. It's like, it's Adrishtam. You cannot imagine, you cannot see. Visualizing that form, he was given a Divya Drishti also. Divine eyes. Arjuna's vision of the universal form. Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam. Adbhutam, surprising. Then Arjuna's experience of universal form we saw. Drishtam Navindami Samam Cha Vishnu. Then Krishna's reply. Kalosmi Lokas Yate Krit Pravardho. Arjuna's prayers. Then, when he saw the universal form, initially he was so fearful, he got so scared. Then he says, oh my God, what was I doing with you? Not realizing you are Paramatma. So Arjuna's prayers are like, Sagat Gadam Bhita Bhita Pranamya. So pure bhakti is needed to see Krishna. So Bhaktya to Ananya Sakhya. That is how we completed yesterday's chapter. Today it is Bhakti Yoga. It's a very simple chapter, but how simple it is when you start experiencing, and that should set in from the age 5, from the environment, from what you have seen at home. And if not, even now, it is not too late. Any time is okay. As long as we have that determination, willpower, we enter into it, we don't feel like leaving, and we don't get diverted. That is more important. So the first one, Saloni Mataji, will you read the translation or the shloka? The choice is yours.
Yes, ma'am. Anything is okay. Anything is okay for me.
Okay, you can read this one. Then I'll read the shloka. Arjuna Vacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhakta Swam Paryupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Avyaktam Te Shankhe Yoga Vithamaha.
Arjuna inquired, which is considered to be more perfect, those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
Yes, there are a lot of schools which talks about, the impersonal form. He has been always saying, I'm in the personal form. He's in the Antaryami with Chaturbhuja. So Arjuna, is it energy? Do we see, are we relating? My father, was he energy? My grandfather, was he energy? My great grandfather, was he energy? No, they were all persons. So it is only person. We all descend from persons. So the energy and energetic is the intent, the internal potency of that. So that's what he's asking. Whom do I worship? Is it the impersonal form or the personal form? That energy and Krishna together. So that is the answer for this, but still. Okay. So Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetaste Me Yukta Tama Mataha.
The blessed Lord said, "He whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be the most perfect."
Can you imagine how intimately he's worshipping, how beautifully Krishna is actually talking like? It's the way we visualize, it's the way we perceive. See, first we visualize, okay? We see, the image is in your heart, and then you start perceiving, understanding, then getting into the essence, the nectar of. So it's like, it's such a beautiful deities. Wherever, whichever temple you see, you will be able to relate it so well. So he says, like, okay, uh, when your mind is fixed on my personal form, then always engaged in worshipping me, cleaning the temple, doing all those services with great and transcendental faith. Prabhu, this is what, Prabhu and Mataji, this is what is so important, that we need to have that faith. Never shaken, never shaken. No, my Krishna. That faith has to be there with full determination. Never get confused by anybody saying anything, okay? Ye tvaccharamanirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutasthamachalam dhruvam. It is okay. Sanniyam yondriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayah te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rataha. Both the shlokas together. Yes, ma'am.
But those whose but those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed and unmovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me.
Yes, fully, like, you are totally into that transcendental, you link, this can be experienced only. For example, if you pour oil, and this oil doesn't really have any cut in between. So that's sort of a continuous. And that's how, when you are taught some rituals at home, as a child, you are asked to chant few shlokas, you light the lamp, you go to the puja room for a few minutes, and then it's like a routine thing that you do. But that practice makes you to slowly and gradually see, this bhakti comes like that only, slowly and gradually. What is happening by practicing? Now what is happening? They try to stop their mind, although it is impossible. And as you grow, you will understand, see, the unmanifested, and which lies beyond the perception of senses, that all pervading, inconceivable, fixed and immovable, that conception of absolute truth can be perceived by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone. Such person engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Totally in that devotion, in that meditating. Now, meditation, there are a lot of people who give a lot of money to learn the meditation. Meditation in the vacuum, meditation without any form, meditation in the energy, meditation in the light, meditation, in the outer space. All that is not possible. We need to have that personal form, which Krishna has made you to understand the best way to meditate. Okay, so although it is impossible, controlling all the senses, not hearing what is happening outside, not seeing what is happening outside. So slowly and gradually, by practice, one can achieve that one, and they will achieve Krishna directly. That's what he's saying. Okay, the fifth shloka says, Kesho. क्लेशो अधिकन्तरस्ते शामव्यक्ता सक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्भुक्तं देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते.
For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied.
So there are two ways, that impersonal form getting nowhere. when you start that, the attachment to the unmanifested and impersonal feature of the Supreme, the advancement is troublesome because you are there till the Brahma Jyoti and then, you come back. So that liberation of the soul doesn't take place. That attachment to Krishna, attachment to the personal form, that is much easier than this Brahma Jyoti, this unmanifested or impersonal form. The impersonal form, there are few schools which do it, but where do they land up? They again and again take birth here. So the ultimate goal is not achieved. And then the progress in that discipline is very, very difficult. 6 and 7. Ye tu sarvani karmani mayi sannasya madparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samudhvartha mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam.
For those who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Partha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and
Such a beautiful image. From samsara sagara. Samsara is like this, universe, and then sagaram is the ocean. So he's there. But you need to raise the hand. See, that is the crux. You need to raise the hand, and he will hold you and take you. That's what. So all your devotional service. So not only worshipping, giving up all the activities. Giving up means not renunciation. Giving up the activities. Saying that it is all for him you are doing, okay? Anything and everything you are doing it for him, that remembrance. And then without deviation, engaged in devotional service. Small services, I told you, for the next month classes, even if you make a few people to join, few people, ask them, and such a free service, such a good service, you will enjoy whatever you want to say, whichever language you join, anything, this is the timing. That is the smallest devotional service that we can do. So we are always engaged in something or other related to this. Okay. And always meditating upon me. Meditating is basically remembering, trying to, you don't have time, but even when you're traveling, even when you're walking around, when you're eating, sleeping, doing any of those activities in this material world, still always remembering him, keeping him as if he's watching you, he's around you, he's standing here and there, and he's watching you. So you're talking to him. So that sort of, meditation, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha, for him, I am the swift deliverer, very fast, quick, from the ocean of birth and death. So this is Ananya Bhakti. That's such a beautiful image that's been shown here. If you see Krishna sitting with all the gopis and gopikas, so they all see him as personal form. Those who are sitting back at the back also is seeing, it seems like, they're all seeing him as personal, from the sides, from the face, from everything. They're enjoying. They're all into that bliss. It's Ananya Bhakti. That's the beauty here. Mayeva adhyastha adhatsava mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayeva atha urdhvam na samshayah. No doubt.
just fix your mind upon me, the supreme personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always
Without a doubt. No samshayah. Just fix your mind upon me. Okay. Totally on supreme. That is why we need a personal form. In your room, if you have, you can have the vigraha, a small picture, you can keep seeing. So by seeing, what happens is, that image is fixed in your mind. That's a simplest form. beautiful images, and then you start talking, you look at the eyes, that perception, that remembrance will be always inside. As it is sitting inside. You are not able to, its only thing is you are not able to introspect and see. But when you are engage all your intelligence in Krishna, then you'll be always there, and you will live in me always without any doubt. This is Ananya Bhakti. Okay. The 9th shloka. Athat chittam samadhanam na shaknoshi. What is it? Na shaknosi mai sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichhaptum dhananjaya. Ichhaptum dhananjaya. Yes.
My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, you will develop a desire to attain me.
So here Prabhupada is saying, winner of health, you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation. So it is that translation. Now in this picture, what you see is like, it's Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, that 5 gurus like Advaita Gadadhara, Vasavadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All of them you're seeing, they're all in that trance. They're all into this total, anything and everything. So you just totally devoted to him, that bhakti vidhi, then he is there with you. Okay, so this is regulated principles. They are all following the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. That is the sadhana bhakti. Okay. Abhyase samadhosi madkarma paramo bhava madhartamapi karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi.
If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
This is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Without any expectations, you keep doing. So he's just, contributing in the building of the temple. So he's not practicing any meditation, but Nishkama, without any expectations, without any fruits. He's just doing his work. He's doing his work. But then what is he doing? For whom is he doing? See, the same laptop, if I'm going to watch Netflix, some program, some serial, something, that is anartham. It is nothing to do with devotion. But I with the same laptop, if I'm going to use it, for reading Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, or getting involved into any other, like activities like this, then it is totally, I'm involving without any expectations. But I'm using all this. So even these instruments, these, the devices say that, yes, those are all achittam. That is all something which doesn't have any life. But then we are using all this for Krishna. So that is also one of the Nishkama Karma Yoga. We are doing all that for Krishna, keeping Krishna in the center. Okay. So somewhere or other, how do I do bhakti is what many people ask. And slowly and gradually it happens. It doesn't happen overnight. It is not easy also. But the easiest way is Sankirtana, chanting. That is the easiest way to begin with. Nishkama Karma Yoga. This is okay. So now, what is it? Whatever you do, whatever you say, yad karosi, yad asnasi, yad juknosi, dadasi, yad tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva mad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you say, yeah, please go ahead.
O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering unto me.
Yes, everything is offering to him, whatever we do.
Ma'am, which sloka number is this, ma'am?
I'm also looking at, I think it is in the previous chapter. It is not in from this chapter even. I was looking for it. It's not here, but we have heard this sloka so many times, it either from, I'll just check and get back to you. I'm not remembering the number. Okay. So that's what, but it is not from this. Whatever you do, see, it's a bhakti, it's a devotion. So in this, so those 6, you will find everything everywhere overlapping, bhakti vidhi and bhakti, the process and the stages. So where, whatever you do, you just, keep me in the center. Remember me. Athaidapyachaktosi kartum madhyogam Sarva karma palatyagam. Sarva karma palatyagam. That is important. Tyagam is leaving, renunciation. Tadakuru yatatmavan.
If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situate.
Nanda Maharaj here is trying to give, all, but then it's the happiness. It's the happiness. So that is the reason why he is distributing, when Krishna's arrival, but doesn't have any expectations. He's just giving up. The results of the giving charity is not expected, but he's out of happiness is giving. For Krishna is doing this. What do you read? What do you read in this? What is this bhakti called? Sadhana bhakti. Sakama karma bhakti. Sakama karma. All right. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa jnanadhyanam vishishyate dhyana karma palatyagastyaghachantiranantaram.
If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of.
Okay, so you are seeing here, Vedas, scriptures have been, so that's a knowledge gaining that goes on. So better than this is the meditation, and better than the meditation is the renunciation of the fruits of action. See, remember, not the renunciation of activities, not the renunciation of any work, not the renunciation and sitting just doing meditation. No, renunciation of the fruits of action. That is the key word. That is the key word for bhakti. That is the key word for all this. Bhagavad Gita's key word is renounce the fruits of action. Do your duty, but do not expect anything from that. Not to have any expectations. Goal setting you can have, but then just renounce everything to him. Leave it to him. So this is jnana. So you're seeing sakama, nishkama karma, and sakama karma. Then how this plays the role here. Understanding that jnana is what is. So this is the best example, 13th and 14th shloka, where you all know the story, but let me, you tell me, okay? Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadhusva dusva sukhachami santushta satatam yogi yatatma dridha nishchayah mai arpita mano buddharyo madbhakta same priyah.
One who is not envious, but who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, he is very dear to me.
So he has been explaining who is dear. Okay. Always Sudama was always thinking of Krishna only, because his wife went on saying, no, he's your friend and he's a king in Dwaraka. Why don't you go? Look at the children, they're all starving. I can't imagine. And you have to go and go and go. So finally he just goes, but she gives little, that rice, that aval, that porridge, then with that in a torn cloth, he takes and he goes there. So he is like, he's a good friend. And Krishna runs out when he comes to know, he comes out, and then, so Pada Sevanam, this is what is the Pada Sevanam. And Rukmini is with him, and then, first one, when he eats, he comes to know that this is what he has brought, then he eats the first one, the palace there. The second one, children and everybody is like, becomes that prosperity, richness, wealth, all that comes back. Now the third one, he doesn't want, Rukmani doesn't want, because she says once he takes the third one, that means he will become the Dasya. So that is the image here. Now, one who is not envious is a very important word. That's how Arjuna was taken as the person who was given Bhagavad Gita here, who is a kind friend to all living entities. Doing all the shloka, all the chanting, and being very harsh and rude to the others, that person is not dear. Who does not think himself a proprietor. Whenever we talk to people, oh, I did this, that false ego. I am the one who created this. I, me, mine. If those three words go away from our dictionary, I am the doer, I am the proprietor, that thought process, then Krishna is in you, who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress. Oh, happiness means jump around, throw a party, do. Distress is like, go to the psychiatrist, take this sleeping pill and other things. No, both are given by him, and it is given by him means because it's the counting which has been written there, and we ourselves have chosen this, and it is due to our karma we have all this. Okay, who is always satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, whatever comes on my way, but still I am determined to do this, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me. He is dear to me. That is the important word here. Agreement with me, with total determination. This is a very good story here. And before we move on to the shlokam, let me quickly tell the story. Chitraketu was a king. Okay, he had 4 wives, and that was his previous birth. Again, like Jadabharata, we have 3 birth story here, all in Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, what he does is like, of course, he's the 4th wife, the son. After a long time, there is he gets a son, but then the son dies in a very early age. Then he has been doing all the austerities, has been a great devotee. So Narada comes and he says, no, I want my son back. And the son comes back and he says, which Janma's father? So he understands that, it doesn't make any sense. So then the Adiseshan, the serpent of Vishnu, they give him a Pushpaka Vimanam. And in that, he goes around and he goes to the Kailasha, where he sees Parvati. Parvati's leg is on Shakti's, she's keeping her leg on Shiva's thighs, and then all the saints, sages, everybody is there, and Lord Shiva is talking to them. So, in front of many sages. So immediately Chitraketu from there, he just smiles and he even comments like, like everybody is watching, and is it okay to be? So then she curses him, and she says, in fact, is a son. She says like, you be the Asura because you are pointing out to me like this. He becomes a Vritrasura. In fact, is a great devotee, and but small such the senses are not controlled. Like even the thought he should not have had. The senses, out of words, the words that you speak, it is apacharam. It is the greatest sin. So this is Chitraketu on the Pushpaka Vimana. So he becomes Vritrasura. Of course, this Asura is again, with Indra. That is the third one, which we don't have to go. But here, the point here is, when you are a devotee, we need to have so much of sense control, the control of it. Okay. So, yes, read Mataji.
He for whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anxiety who is steady in happiness and distress, is very dear to me. One,
Yes, this
should I-
is no, this I've already explained. Chitraketu's story. What does it show? You know, you are not disturbed by anxiety. You watch something, you see something, you have to ignore certain things. So these are all the qualities that we need to have if we are to come into the bhakti. Okay, that is why this example. That this we have already seen 13th and 14th shloka. Right? Yes. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitri karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sachu. Yes. 16th shloka. Anapicture shruchir daksha udasino gatavhyatah sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhakta same priyah.
A devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and who does not strive for some result, is very dear.
So Krishna is explaining who is devotee, who is which qualities appeal to him, which quality that a devotee should have, which really makes him feel very comfortable, and then that person becomes a very dear person to Krishna. So is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, which means, oh, if my car doesn't come, if my this thing doesn't come, this. So there are small activities which one gets a lot of anxiety. You know, when my small thing like laptop is not working, this is not happening, that is not happening, that sort of an active anxiety. No, that also is okay. We need to take all these ordinary course of activities, not dependent on them, small things, but then very pure, expert. I'm just comparing it with all this material world things because, you know, that's how we can compare. Am I getting anxiety? Am I getting the happiness? Am I distressed? So we need to do a lot of introspection if I have to become a pure devotee for Krishna. So who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and who does not strive for some result. That person is very dear to me. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. वो देख लेगा, वो सुन लेगा. He is there with me. He is listening. Bhagavan dekh raha hai. You know, we have heard these words from all our people at home and even in the community. So that is the truth. And this is, again, you have heard Kapila Muni, Devahuti is, you know, the real devotee, totally ordinary, explaining, becoming, you know, how to live this. This is in Bhagavatam. So we have 26 things how one can renounce. So he is explaining to Devahuti, Kardama Maharaja Prabhu's wife, when he takes Vanaprastha, he's also Kapila Muni is also renounced, is going to get renounced. So he's explaining to his mother. The mother takes him as her guru, as her acharya. So he explains, and we have it in the coming chapter, all those 26 components. If we have to renounce, and if you have to learn something from what nature teaches us, all those things are happening here. This image you all know. Can anybody unmute and speak to me? Tell me, who is this? A small boy sitting, and, you know, the elephant behind and people behind, torturing and lamenting, and because of which a great avatara happened, Narasimha avatara. Who is this boy?
Prahlad.
Prahlad Maharaj. See, every day it was, every day, day in and day out. 17th shloka. Yona hrishyati na dveshti na shochati na kankshati shubha shubha parityagi bhaktivanya same priyaha. Yes, read, Mataji.
One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, is very dear to me.
He was never lamenting. He was never fearful. He was never scared. He was so brave, so bold. but not arrogant, not very assertive, very firm in his belief. I mean, every word that you think of a pure devotee, the one who is so closer, when Krishna can come down like in this Narasimha Avatara, imagine what sort of a bhakti he had. It's a great example in front of us. Samashatrau chamitre cha tatha mana apamanayoho shitoshna sukha dukkheshu samasangha vivarjitaha.
One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equiposed in honor and in dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service is very dear to me.
This story I've already said. If you remember, and this is Ambarisha Maharaja. You know, Durvasa comes and then he creates, and then the chakra goes behind. This we had it, I think, in the 10th chapter. Imagine all these qualities that Krishna wants one devotee to have. I mean, who becomes very closer to Krishna. Each one of us have to introspect and see, you know, where do I stand? Oh my God, it's so hot, you know, it's so cold. It is so this thing. I'm so happy, you know, he never bothered about me. He never cared about me. He never took my name. Imagine all those words that we had been using in this material world. It is so dangerous, you know, we can never become a devotee. So that's what we have to keep introspecting and check to make our place where Krishna is residing as an antaryami, make a peaceful and comfortable position so that, you know, we become very dear to him and not lamenting, not always cribbing about things that is around, and that's not realizing that is very, I mean, it's temporary. So all these things are temporary. But if we realize that, you know, we will never lament. We will never keep cribbing about things around us, which may not be suiting at that time, but that also will go. Okay, this is Bilva Mangala story. Bilva Mangala, okay, 20th shloka will say, and then this one. Etu dharma mritamidam yetoktam paryupasate shraddha dhana mat parama bhaktaste tiva me priyaha. Yes.
He who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me.
Yes, Bilva Mangala is again in our Bhagavatam. So, you know, imperishable path of devotional service. So that is why this Bilva Mangala's story is given here. What happens is, okay, we don't have to read all that. This I will just explain. So Bilva Mangala, there are again 2-3 birds, you know, we'll remember and then he'll speak about it. I don't know if anybody knows about Bilva Mangala. Anyone? Okay, he is doing all the austerities, everything. Is a Brahmin who is born there, and his he was doing his shraddha for his father, but he is in touch with one of the prostitute, you know, whom he's totally mentally attached, and he has to rush to her always for any of the advice, anything and everything. So what he does, and you know, it's a stormy day, and he leaves home after doing the shraddha, you know, all those Pitra shraddha for his father. And in that stormy day also, he rushes to see her. Without seeing her, he cannot sustain himself. When he rushes, what happens is, she knows that he is not going to come, and then she closes the door, and then he rushes, and because of the storm, he doesn't know what he's holding. It's so dark. He's holding a dead body, and is crossing that lake. And then after that, he climbs up because the door is closed, he climbs up the wall, which is a snake. And without all this, so much of difficulty, he reaches, and she's so shocked, and she says, the same effort if you had put to realize Krishna, how nice it would have been. So he just goes back and he realizes he's a woman hunter. Okay, so whatever he sees, he gets diverted. And so he feels bad. And when he sees somebody's wife, he tells, can you get me a small needle? So she says, and the husband is also surprised. He says, no, the beauty haunts. And then I feel like, so he just pierces his eyes with a needle. And so then he starts all his hymns and everything, just focusing on Krishna. Okay. So this part of the story. In his previous birth, he's a great devotee. Every day he recites Bhagavatam, and after Bhagavatam, he gives a lot of prasadam to everybody. But he doesn't have so much of wealth. Okay, he doesn't have so much of money. At the same time, the king's daughter, the princess at a very young age dies, and the all those cremation, the antim sanskar, the final thing is going on. There he sees a lot of jewel on her neck, and he feels, why should a dead body have so much? So after the fire extinguishes, he goes there and takes out. And this body speaks. The body speaks and says, don't take. Go and ask my father. And that particular place, there are a lot of jewelry. So he goes to the king and he says, your daughter said this. And the king is very happy and he gives all the jewels, whatever was there remaining. And again, he does Bhagavatam and then does all that Annadanam. He does all the charity. Then he, once it finishes, but then that temptation, oh, that dead body is having so much rituals. He goes back, removes, and the dead body curses. Okay, that you will be born as a woman hunter. Now, there are two things. The prostitute here was the same dead body that what we found, that princess on the previous, but because one cannot curse a Brahmana. Okay, so she becomes like that. And he is cursed because he was taking out the wealth. So what does it mean? Look at this. Earn your wealth properly. So this is a very important message. The wealth, which even if you do it for the correct purpose, it cannot be. So when we see in the Tirupati Hundi, they all go and put all the black money and everything, and asking, and it's like a business. So Bhagavan says, what is happening? Oh my God. So all that. So we need to, even if you do the austerities, charities, this is Bilva Mangala, you're seeing, he becomes a great devotee. He is out of all the sins. He pierces his own eyes. He says, oh my God, I cannot, because it's beyond his control.
Ma'am, this he says after, like,
excuse me,
like when he goes to her house after climbing the wall. After that, he, takes the.
he changed.
Yeah. He changed.
She tells the same effort you had put for, for this devotional service, because she is also a great devotee. She became a prostitute because of that curse. See, that's what is important. The curses are so sometimes, we feel so scared when you hurt somebody. They may not curse you by words, but then that hurt feeling itself is a curse.
Yes.
We watch in this material world itself. Oh, I heard this person in the morning. See, evening I'm hurt through someone else. So that realization we all have. And those days, and the austerities, the tapas, the yajna, the chanting was so intense that whatever they think, whatever they say, it gets, transferred like that. So in the next life is born, okay, woman hunter, this thing I have already said. The wealth in life should be properly earned. And when we want to serve Krishna and his devotees, it should be properly earned. Otherwise, we have to suffer the consequences of bad karma. So in bhakti, this is also to be kept in mind. This is very, very important. A true, pure, undivided, unalloyed devotional service. According to Krishna, a pure devotee, you are seeing Meera here, is a kind friend who is not envious, and kind friend to all living entities. This is just a gist of the whole chapter, who is free from false ego, who is equipoised in all situations, engaged in devotional service with determination, making Krishna the supreme goal, and is very, they are the dearer to Krishna. So this Meera's story, you all know, like, in Rajasthan, how she was told, Krishna is the only one, and she wouldn't leave, and she would, although married to Rana Pratap, how torturous it was and everything. Finally, Krishna takes her. All that Meera bhajans, when you listen, you will find. Then out of 12 Alvars in South India, so they were all like, saints of 8th century and 7th century. Andal, again, is credited with great Tamil works. Tirupavai, Nachiyar Tirumozhi. And the 12 Alvars, if you listen to all their hymns, it's all in Tamil. 4,000 only we could recover. They could take it out. The rest all is gone. So in these 4,000 verses, Periyalvar, he will treat Krishna as his father. Okay. Like Krishna as his son. And Andal, conjugal love. Only one pure, the woman saint. Okay. So all of them, they are not born from any woman. Okay. That is also. So it is all Shank, Chakra, Gada, Padmam, Kadgam, all is Ayudham, all is whatever he's having, Vishnu is having. They are all born, they all have come down and they have sung. They had been a devotee. They had been, so Tirupavai, this Margari month, Krishna says, no, I'm in the month of Margari, December 15th to January 15th is Margari. Early morning, they go and that Upavasam, that, they do everything as if they are in Vrindavan. So that is how they all go around, sing in praise of Krishna. So it is all there. Those hymns are sung even in the temples today also. So what was she doing? She started the father used to, make garland for the temple deities. So she used to wear it and see first that, if Krishna is going to wear this, how is it going to be? So first she will wear it and look into the mirror, and she will visualize and imagine how Krishna will look with this garland. But if you think of it, you cannot wear it, you cannot have it in your hair and then go and give it to the Lord, no? So behind Andal is Periyalvar. That is one, the whom I said Periyalvar has also written, Pallande, please stay, live for a long time, you be safe, you be healthy. How many people, we all ask for Krishna, no? But he was the only Alvar who said, you be safe, you be healthy, you be nice, you be safe, you be so and live for many, many years. That is how his hymns are. And it's beautiful. So now the father comes and sees, oh my God, you're wearing the garland. So he removes it and he makes a new garland and takes it to the Perumal, Vadavatra Shai. That's a big temple there. And he returns it back. He says, no, I want the same, what she has been wearing. I want that garland. They all speak, no? The Archa Murtis speak to the devotees. So he comes back and then he understands, oh, she is a great devotee. She also is found in the Tulsi Vana in Srivilliputturu in Tamil Nadu. She has written Nachiyar Tirumozhi 148 Pasuram, and Tirupavai, of course, is 30 every day from December 15th onwards in all the temples in southern part of India, in northern part of India, many places this is chanted. Okay, so stages of bhakti is Prema Bhakti, Bhava Bhakti, Asakti, Ruchi, Nishtha, Anartha, Nivritti, Bhajana Kriya, Sadhu, Sangha, Shraddha. So this is stages, not the Vidhi. The process is what we had been always watching. This is the process. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedan. This is process. So when you get into the process, slowly and gradually you go. Prema Bhakti is the last one. You are totally in bliss. You start with Shraddha, then you go to Sadhu Sangha, having that Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivarti, the unwanted things are all like, just forget about everything, the other things. Then Nishtha, totally. Then getting attachment is a Ruchi, Asakti. So getting attached, getting detached and renunciation for other things, and then getting attached to him. Then Bhava, all your experiences, expressions towards him. And then prema. It's the highest stage of bhakti. So if bhakti is a culmination, then why jnana presented in the last 6 chapters, coming chapters? In truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is bhakti. The 1 to 6 chapters discusses how to achieve bhakti through work. The last 6 describes how to achieve it through knowledge. And then, so now these 6 chapters, bhakti itself is being taught. Also in the 12th chapter, Krishna explained how he personally, he likes, how he feels, how he wants the devotees to get liberated from birth and death. So the last 6 chapters provide the philosophical knowledge. So that philosophical jnana we will be understanding from 13th chapter onwards. From the second part is now today it's getting over. First 6, second 6 is the cream in between, and then the outer layer. So they give the philosophical knowledge. Jnana is its use in assisting the detachment from Maya and our attachment to Krishna. Hence, when we use knowledge as a means to attain devotion, it becomes a part of bhakti. So that is how this chapter gives us, an indication of how we can get into bhakti, the process stages, and we had a lot of examples, and who is very dearer to Krishna. So, who is not envious, who is totally devoted, whose mind is like intelligence and mind, everything away from false ego. Start introspecting, write down everything. Today, what I did. That's why the first day when I gave those 6, 7 questions, it's to introspect. Did I help somebody? Did I hurt someone? And if I had hurt, what difference it could have made, how differently I could have spoken. Those are all small introspection to get into the stage where we become closer to Krishna. And why we should become closer to Krishna, why we should have him in front, why we should have him memory in us and think of him only, then you will not have that pain. The pain of failing, the pleasure of success, all that will be, we will be very balanced. Okay, I will stop here. If you don't have any questions, then we can stop. But then otherwise, welcome to.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Please.
Okay, ma'am, in the second text, it is said that those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be the most perfect. But in the 3rd and 4th shloka, he says, but to those fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and movable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. So, ma'am, on one side, he's saying that on personal form, you are perfect. But if you worship the unmanifested, then you come to me. So what is fit for us?
No, okay. Personal form is the easier way to slowly approach him. That unmanifested, unpersonal. So you come to me, the 13th and 14th, you will see how we get entangled and how we ourselves disentangle. But the Brahma Jyoti, unmanifested Brahma Jyoti, and you go into that place and come back. Okay, here what is he saying is the unmanifested personal form is not energy. Okay, you are into the transcendental with him. There are 2 things. One is impersonal form and unmanifested. These are 2 different words. Okay, now in unmanifested does not mean impersonal. It is a personal form. It is Krishna in person with his energy is energetic. But beyond that is a transcendental. Beyond that is a transcendental. So you are linking. That is only through Bhava Bhakti. Slowly experiencing that. Then you reach him. Okay, reaching him is like one step by step. The easiest way, you will see, it's a lift instead of going into the stairs one by one. But you start from LKG, you start from nursery. So that unmanifested form is not impersonal. I think that is the confusion that you're having. So here, am I right? Personal
Yes,
and
ma'am. Correct.
yes,
Correct. That is
yes,
the confusion.
that is the confusion. So unmanifested stage is not impersonal. It is personal form, but beyond visualization. What you saw in the Virat Sarup, it's a transcendental form. It's a form, Krishna in person, but it is a transcendental form. It is in Goloka, where that Swarupa is totally in the transcendental. That is why he's talking all about it after the Virat Vishwarupa. So everything is inside. We are all part and particle. We are the spark. He's just, he can, in Chanamatra, he can come, he can descend. He can descend himself. He can be with you. He can be in a smallest way, the way you want, in the biggest way, the way you want. So just to see the differences of unmanifested and impersonal. There's a lot of difference. Okay. So it is he who has created everything. He is the one who is maintaining. He is the one who is, he will be annihilating when it is not. So, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So he will come back, he will be there with you. It does not mean that he is like, he is in the impersonal. So this difference, if you understand, then you will be able to. But we can go on in this, maybe tomorrow again when we have Kshetrajna. So
Okay,
Kshetra, the field and the activities in the field and who is in the field, who is a knower. So that details are there coming up because that is Jnana Yoga, totally in that. Those 6 chapters you will, of course, 18th is all compilation, but 13th is very, very important chapter where we understand this. It's a very good
ma'am.
question, Rashi. Yeah.
And secondly, ma'am, like normally it is addressed as who, like the blessed Lord said. Ma'am, how the Lord can be blessed? Lord blesses everyone.
Yes. See, when I think that's a beautiful question. Blessed Lord, he is the one who gives blesses, and he himself is a blessed person. That is how he is with us. So it's like bhakti bhav. In bhakti bhav, oh, you are a blessed soul. And who blesses you? All the devotees. You know what? Those 3 hours, the first 3 hours, when they come down, so Poige Alvar, Pei Alvar, if you read the history of these Alvars, they write, so Krishna cannot withstand, all my devotees have gone down. So he also comes and stands because of the rain, they are under one roof. So there's no light and everything. But when Krishna enters, so much of light. So the first Alvars sings. He says, I see, it's the universe which has been made as a lamp. And the other person says, the oil is this, the ocean. And then, lamp is lit. How? When Krishna enters. Do you understand what it means is, he is with the devotees. That's why he's a blessed Lord. He himself feels that. He himself feels that. But there are many more, in Srimad Bhagavatam. But, your questions are really good, which I also need to look through and then get more research evidences on that.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll keep in mind and I'll find out. Okay, can we stop here? It's like, I don't want you to have the session longer so that the people who are here at least will continue with us for the second level also. One is longer hours, the other one is the postings that is made in that. And so both are making one to leave, which I don't want. I don't want you all to leave. Stay with us. This is the next 6 chapters will be really enjoyable and more philosophical, where you can give all rationals, where you can give logics and reasoning. Those logos, pathos, ethos I always talk about. We can give all that reasoning to all your people around. Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please stay with us and we'll see tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasavadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hope you are all started chanting, and we'll see tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.